All right, welcome back. So now that you've seen how the whole audio process looks inside Audacity, which is a completely free software, I thought it'll be a good idea to also show you how a paid software works and how a similar audio editing process can be applied here also, and how using a paid software can just make some things more convenient than, let's say, compared to Audacity, but we'll pretty much be following the same process to edit the audio in this case also. So let's see how this works. So the example that I'm going to be taking here is a video that you actually just saw in this course itself, the very first video. So in all my courses, I make a welcome video, like a short video. So I'm just going to be using that as an example, and we'll audit the audio for that. Now, I actually don't need to put the video, but it'll be good to just have something here. So plus we'll also see how to sync audio and video in case that is something that can be important to you. So just moved my video here. And remember, I told you earlier in this course that when I use my Blue Yeti, I usually am using a screen recording app to record the audio. So here I'm talking, but this audio that you're seeing here, so let me just slightly stretch this so it kind of looks like what we were seeing in Audacity with the waveforms here. So this audio is being recorded by the built-in mic of the DSLR, which is recording this video. So that's obviously not good. We've seen this before with the laptop mic also inside Audacity. This is the good audio. So this is what I use. So this is basically the screen recording app, and this is using the Blue Yeti audio. So this is the good audio. Now what we just need to do is, so there obviously when this video is going on, this laptop is basically recording this. So what we need to do is we just need to shift the audio here under this track and sync it with this, and so that we can mute this audio then, okay? So what I need to do is, since this is itself a video, you can see here, it's on the video track also. Just going to quickly unlink this. And if I want, I can just delete it and just move this down here. Okay, just push this here. So we now have both the tracks here, both the audio track. This is from the good audio, Blue Yeti, and this is from the built-in mic of the DSLR. So what I can do is I can just select everything. And this is how you do it in Premiere Pro. I can just hit synchronize. So this also might be important for some people, let's say, even though this is an Audacity course, but later on when you export the Audacity videos, a lot of people might want to sync it with the video. And if you're using something like this, and in most video editing software, it works like this. Okay, so we're going to hit, by default, is selected to audio. I'm going to let it be on that. And just wait for this to finish. And you can see now it's just moved that audio, and now it's in sync. So now you can see if I was to mute the good audio and let the default play, this is going to sound really bad. Instructor, thank you for giving me a chance to teach. Right? But if I mute this now, since it's synced, and unmute this, this is going to sound better. Teach you the art of using Audacity, right? So that itself makes a huge amount of difference. I don't need to delete this, but in this case I'll do, because we're just kind of losing down on space. So I'm just going to unlink both these and delete this bad audio since we don't need it. And I'm just shifting this up. Now I don't need to mute it, okay? So till now, you don't really have to worry about what we did. The main audio editing part will start now, because we're going to follow a similar approach to what we did in Audacity. Right, so let's start that process all over again. So what is the first thing that we're going to do? We're going to get the correct volume. That always is the base, and that should be done first. So we have this audio meter. Remember, in Audacity, we had it on top, but we have it here. And let's just quickly monitor the decibel levels here. Remember, we're aiming for something between -6 and -12. So we'll kind of get an idea in just a few seconds what is the condition of this audio when it comes to the volume. So let's play this for a bit. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, if you have seen the promo video, that this course is more than just using Audacity. So unlike other courses, which directly start off by downloading and install, so not bad. A lot of it is hovering between our good range, sweet range of -6 and -12, but occasionally it is going around -3, -12. So we can kind of follow the same approach. So remember what was the first thing that we did? We want to even out this waveform, right? What was the effect that we used? We used the compressor. So I usually do that here also. That's the first thing I do now. In Premiere Pro, you don't have to worry about right now what the things are, since this is not a Premiere Pro course. But in Premiere Pro, you have to go to this panel here, okay, and just hit effects, and all the effects like video effects, audio effects are here. We are interested in the audio effect. And since we know the effect that we want, we're simply not going to be opening this and searching for it. We can simply hit compressor. So I'll follow the same sequence that we did before. Now here in Premiere Pro, you kind of get different options within compressor itself, multi-band, single band. So multi-band will be like think of it like an advanced compressor, which works on all different types of frequencies, the mid, the low, the high frequencies. And this is kind of more important for musicians, okay? But right now, just for the voice, the single band compressor is something similar to what we saw in Audacity. So I'm just gonna hit and drag this here. So that's how it works. You just basically drag, just like in Audacity, you hit the effect, okay? So now this has come here. Now, anytime you put the effect here, if the audio is selected, which is right now the case, you can see it's highlighted. Under effect controls here, we'll be able to see that effect come here. So you can see single band compressor, and we can edit some settings in it. So in Audacity, we use the default, right? But here, what I like to do is, there are some good presets since this is a paid software, okay, which we don't get in Audacity. So here you can see, like this blissful bass is going to compress things in such a way, it's going to change the dynamic range of the audio waveform in such a way that it kind of gives more preference to the bass, okay? But it's ultimately doing the same thing. No matter which effect you choose, what does the compressor do? It makes the softer parts in the audio waveform or the smaller parts bigger. That means wherever you were talking softly, that there the volume is going to increase, and the peaks, wherever you were loud enough, that's going to come down. So it's ultimately going to do the same thing. It's just that it's going to do it in a slightly different way. That's all. So here, I usually use these two options, either voice leveler or voice over. Now, how do I know which one to select? If the audio is too loud, okay, like I'm noticing this is really clipping here by the audio meter was going to 0 and we were getting clipped audio. In that case, I like to use voice leveler, because what it does is it just levels everything and just reduces the sound, the volume, okay? But in this case, we saw the volume was not so bad, right? So in this case, I can use voiceover. So when it's too loud, I use voice leveler. When it's normal like this, I like to use voiceover. But ultimately, it's doing the same thing. It's compressing, okay? So you can see now, I'm just going to hit, and again, the compressor doesn't really do too much. Probably we'll find an increase in the volume. That's not a problem because we will be normalizing this just like we did in Audacity. It's using Audacity. So unlike other courses, which directly start off, right? So I can, anytime if I want to see the before and after, I can hit this button. This is going to turn off the effect and this is going to turn on the effect. So let's just play this for a bit and let's see if we can notice some difference here. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. Yeah, but like I mentioned, so you can see, right, using the compressor just kind of gives that a more, if they, like for the lack of a better word, like a fuller sound, because obviously it is making the dynamic range of the audio waveform. That means it's just making it more even, so the voice just sounds more consistent, right? Now we were noticing that some of it was going really high, right? Almost till -3. So what was the second thing that we did in Audacity? We used the limiter effect, right? So we're going to use the limiter effect here also. Again, here I'm not explaining everything in detail because we've already seen most of these things. So if I type in limiter, that's just going to help us cut off the peaks. So we're going to use the hard limiter. Remember that option, hard limiter in Audacity? Same thing here. So I'm just going to drag it here. This is going to come here. I'm going to hit edit. And here we have certain presets. So remember that time in our previous project, we had used -3 in Audacity. In Premiere Pro, if I'm noticing it going too high, even though it says hard limiter, it actually doesn't really cut off everything. In Premiere Pro, it's a bit different. Even though it says hard limiter, it's more like a soft limiter where the cutting is slightly gradual. So if I'm intending to go for -3, I actually like to go for -6. So I even want to cut off anything that is right here, any peaks, because I know some of it will go on top, okay? So think of it like this is kind of not the full effect applied. So I usually end up choosing -6 here. This is going to vary from voice to voice. You can't exactly copy what I'm doing. It'll be a trial and error. Try -3, -6. If you hear that bad peaks, that's what the limiter is for, right? That uncomfortable peak which hurts the ear of your audience, then try both and see which one removes that. So for me, usually in Premiere Pro, -6 removes those bad peaks. By the way, I just wanted to point out one important thing. Can you see that we applied the compressor and the limiter, but we don't see any change in the audio waveform itself like we did in Audacity? Why is this the case? Because in Premiere Pro, everything is non-destructive. That means the waveform doesn't change, so that we still have the capability to turn off the effect anytime we don't want. So even if I was to save this project, come back to it later, if I don't like what the limiter did, I simply have to press this Remember, in Audacity, we faced this problem when we closed our project, we saved it, we came back to it, we didn't have the undo with us. Remember, we faced this problem somewhere in this course. Now we don't have this problem because this is a paid software. It allows for what we call as non-destructive editing. So it doesn't change the waveform, but it's still applying the effect. So don't think that nothing is happening, it's still applying the effect. Let's verify this by running this meter, and let's this time notice the peaks. So let's start this. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, if you have seen the promo video, right, so that is pretty good. Now we have two things done. We've got a more even audio thanks to the compressor. We're also not hurting the ear of our audience because this is not going past -6 in this case. If you want it to be slightly louder, you can select the -3 option also. Now is the time it's still, most of it is touching -6. That's because the compressor had raised the volume, just like in Audacity, okay, that it usually does that. So now is the time we'll normalize things and we'll find what is that correct, maximum peak value that we should set. So normalize or normalizing in Premiere Pro is slightly different. There's no effect for it here, okay? We actually have to just right click on the audio itself and we have to select this option that says audio gain. And here we get the same options, normalize. So you don't have to worry about anything, to be frank. We just need this one. Remember, this is the max peak is just another term for peak amplitude that we saw in Audacity. So here we just need to put in our value. Again, this is going to vary from situation to situation. So don't just copy what I'm doing. You'll have to do it according to your own voice. So remember, what is going to help us? It should, most of the audio, the average audio should hover between the sweet spot. Right now, that is not happening. Most of it is only going to -6. We want it to slightly reduce, that means, right? So we can, right now you can see the peak amplitude is -3. So we can try, we know that we need to kind of decrease the peak, right? So that the volume decreases overall. So we can try probably -5 here. You can see that has reduced this a bit. Let's just play this. I'm Kush Sharma. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me no. So it's still very loud. So I think, and that's what, so I should point out one thing, using that voice over, okay, that really increases the volume a lot. So sometimes in these cases, when you use the voiceover, you might have to really normalize more than what we're used to. Like in Audacity, we were seeing -5, -6 work because the compressor there just doesn't raise the volume that much. But in Premiere Pro, it can increase the volume a lot. So sometimes even something like you'll have to use -8, -7, something like that. So we will find out. So let's just go back to, oh, sorry, I need to click on the audio gain. So maybe let's try -7 in this case. Okay, and let's play this. Will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, if you have seen the promo video, that this course is more than just using Audacity. I think now the volume is perfect. It's mostly hovering between -6, -12. If you did want the peaks to be slightly higher, like I said, you can select -3, but I am okay in this case with -6. So I'm going to proceed further. It doesn't make too much of a difference, the limiter, okay? Your words are still going to be heard. So now that this is the case, the volume is done. So this is where I like to say that the bass is done and the future effects that we're going to add are basically luxury effects like noise reduction. Though noise reduction is pretty important, but bass, treble, and all these things, okay? So what we can do now is that we can start to add those effects. So remember first, next in sequence was noise reduction. So here it's called DeNoise, okay? So if we just type noise, you're going to at some point find DeNoise. And these are things you get used to it. And of course, like at the end of it, just like in Audacity, I'm going to be showing you how to create a preset at the end so that you can do all this with one click, okay? So I'm going to now put this here and DeNoise is going to come here. If I hit edit, you basically get two options here. One is you can go for heavy noise reduction, which takes away from the voice a bit, like your voice can sound a bit robotic, or you can just go for light noise reduction, or you can just leave it on default. So I usually leave it at default, unless until there was actually too much noise, then I go for heavy noise reduction. So let's just hear this. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. Right, so that does make a huge difference, even on the default setting, because if I just turn this off and on, I'm Kush Sharma. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, if you have seen the promo, right, just imagine how easy this was as compared to Audacity, where we had to sample the noise, give it to Audacity, get it back here with literally a single click. No, just one click and a drag, it's done. So what was the next effect that we went in for was the frequency-based filters. In this case, like I said, mostly I use the high-pass filter. We've already discussed it. So there was actually a fan going on top. So this will be a good time to introduce the high-pass filter because it's just going to cut out those low frequencies like the rumbling of the fan. Though to be frank, this has pretty much taken care of most of it. Even if I don't use it, it's okay. But we're going to use it in a very, very conservative way. So I actually like to use it more when the AC is going on because my air conditioner makes a lot of noise. So I'm just going to type in high pass. And now we'll be getting the high pass here. And remember the cutoff frequency. So by default, I don't know why Premiere Pro really makes this really high because it actually feels like we're doing the opposite. And this should be set for the low pass filter. Okay. But because right now, if I play this, I'm going to sound pretty terrible. For giving me a chance to teach you right? So that's because it's cutting off all the frequencies below this. We don't want that, right? So something like I like to use a setting like somewhere around 90. That kind of still preserves the original voice, but anything below 90 is going to get cut. So all those bad, low rumbling sounds get cut. So let's just play this. I'm Kush Sharma. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, here didn't make too much of a difference because like I said, sometimes DeNoise just takes care of most of those sounds, okay? But still, not bad. It can't really harm you too much. Just don't increase it. So this is done. And like I said, I always like to add a bit of bass. So I'm just going to search for bass, put it here, and let's give it around 3 decibels of bass. Now, let's listen to this. Course, I'm Kush Sharma. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. That sounds really, really good. Now, what we're going to do is just to quickly compare this. So now, just to quickly compare this, I'm just going to make a cut here and we'll remove from this part, the first part, we'll actually remove all the effects, okay? So from this part, as you can see is highlighted. Let's turn off everything that we did so that we can get a before and after comparison while it's running. So all the 5 things that we did are off. Let's play this from here. This course, I'm Kush Sharma. I will be your instructor. Thank you for giving me a chance to teach you the art of using Audacity. But like I mentioned, if you have seen the promo video, that this course is more than just using Audacity. So you can clearly see there was a big change in this. And even this didn't sound bad, but that's only because I'm using a good mic, the Blue Yeti. Okay, if this is coming from a slightly bad mic and you have all the effects turned off, this one is going to sound pretty terrible. All right, so now the next question is, how do we turn all this into a preset? Okay, so what we need to do is, first of all, I'll just need to enable everything. So, and how you make a preset in Premiere Pro is, remember the macro thing that we did in Audacity? So you basically just hold down Control or Command on your keyboard. So we're going to select everything, basically. So I hit this is selected, compressor, limiter, DeNoise, high pass, bass, and that's all we did, right? And now I can leave the Control or Command key and just right click and save it as a preset, okay? So again, I can call it Blue Yeti. That's it, like just for this mic. Though, to be frank, let me just show you. So just call it Blue Yeti. So that I know that this was just for the course, okay? Just hit OK. And right now, on the first folder that you see here is the preset. So if I just hit this, you're going to see the presets that we have here. So let me just remove this. We don't want to search for anything. It was just filtering that out according to the keyword. Now you'll be able to see everything. So this is what we just created. Okay, we can just drag and all these effects will come together. But you can see here, sometimes you might even need, and I discussed this before, right? If things change in your recording environment, you might want to have different presets. You can actually see I have a couple of presets here, like what happens when the Blue Yeti is there when the fan is on, when the AC is on, certain other enhancements that I'm going on for my Rode Smart Lab, plus I've got a separate preset. So you might want to create later on, once you get more comfortable with this process. And how you apply this is very simple. So let's just go to this part of the audio, okay? And let me right now just delete all the effects. So I'm just hitting delete. So right now, nothing is there on this first part, right? So if I was to just play this, I will be your instructor. Thank you. Right now, all I can do is open up go to effects, open up presets, and simply use this one and just drag it. And the moment I do this, everything comes here, except for normalizing. So this is something you need to know about Premiere Pro. And this is actually where it kind of lacks as compared to the free software Audacity, because remember, in the macro preset that we created, you could use Normalize, right? But here in this case, you can't put Normalize inside the preset. So after you've done this, in this case, this would have still been somewhere like this, okay? So what usually I do is I apply the preset, then monitor the audio, okay? And then simply, according to what I'm seeing, I just go here and I give it the required -6 or -7 in this case setting, the normalized setting. So this is slightly different than Audacity. In Audacity, we basically followed the correct sequence, which was to what I feel is the correct sequence, that first you get your volume right. So I like to use normalize in between, though trust me, even in Audacity, some people like to just use all the effects and then just use normalize at the end, even when they're creating the macro. That's also fine, but for me, it's just a system I like to follow, which is I like to get the volume at the correct level first, okay, when I'm doing things manually. When it comes to just using a preset, and I'm kind of used to things, just drag the preset, and even if you normalize it right at the end, because that's what you'll have to do here, then you can do it. But watch the work around for this in Premiere Pro. Well, in that, if you want to make everything automatic and you don't want to normalize also, then you can go for a slightly inferior option, but which works with the preset, is you can search for the volume effect called, for the audio effect called volume. So if I hit volume here, then let's say if I was to, just go here, let's just set this back to 0. And since I've dragged the volume here, it will come here. And then I can just, at the end of it, when I'm listening to it, I can decrease the volume level, okay? So remember, this is working on the entire volume. We're not really just working, by that basis of reducing the peak amplitude. So this is, you'll just have to give it a hair, basically, right? It'll depend on the playback that you're hearing. You'll kind of have to get used to your own voice and figuring out how much do you need to reduce the volume or increase the volume by. So let's say in this case, I just play this. For giving me a chance to, and I feel this is right. Usually for my voice, this is right. Then you can let this be here and make this also a part of the preset, and then don't probably use normalize, or still use normalize after that if you still feel. So maybe you can add the volume here. If it works, then you don't need to use normalize, and it's just a one-click process, right? So you can even go for this approach. I usually don't have volume there. I just simply, because I know for my, just looking at the audio waveform, I've been doing this for so long, I know what to select in the normalize peak value, okay? So yeah, that's how things work inside a more advanced software, though this is not, to be frank, even Adobe's standard software for audio. That is actually Adobe Audition, which is on another level. Right now, as a beginner, shouldn't worry about it. I haven't worried about it. Though that's completely for the people who are very, very good with audio. But even Premiere Pro, which is mainly a video editing software, does the job fairly well on the audio also. So this is how you edit audio inside Premiere Pro. Hope that you like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.